Why, hello again. All right, here's another letter written March 19th in the year of our Lord 2020. Governor Reynolds, I understand that you have your hands full at this time, but feel the need to address a well-known and long ongoing matter of misconduct within your state. I am writing you this letter to inform you of a situation that has been very detrimental to my life. It has the longevity and severity of no other case of its nature, and I assure you that it is a matter to be addressed. It has been so horrific and violating that I am currently writing a book on the matter that I was not originally to release for quite some time, but may need to publish sooner than later for some sort of closure, as all forms of advocacy have been obstructed and impeded upon, much like my life, privacy, and children's quality of life. It started with an unlawful termination by the state of Iowa, in which they have done whatever they can to block and redirect myself from being heard. This alone has caused an immeasurable amount of pain, sufferings, and emotional distress. The origins of offenses began in Glenwood, Iowa. It consisted of state facility and the Glenwood Police Department. I was unlawfully arrested after my ex-wife had attempted to stab me. I recorded the event and turned it in, telling her I wanted full custody of my kids, as can be seen under Rudy Camarillo on YouTube. I had successfully completed a full year of biweekly custody, and the mother was injecting heroin and methamphetamine at the time. She was arrested for exactly this 2 years ago and has been arrested 4 times since, but still retains my children due to the preservation of those trespassing. I kept this a secret from the public to preserve her reputation in a small town, but her small town ties would eventually take a toll on my life. She was at the time drinking and partying with the chief of police and his wife, and from what I have been told, sleeping with a married officer. This made for a combination that led to injustice. I turned in the video where it was blatantly apparent that what had occurred, and 3 days later I was arrested due to the law stating that 50% of the party must be arrested in a domestic situation. This meant that after submitting the video, the officers knew something had to be done, but did not want to arrest their friend. So she had 3 days to come up with a falsification, which she did. It was dismissed, but still claimed my career due to small town networking. The state facility of Glenwood Resource Center terminated me with no unemployment, no investigation as a contract employee, cutting medical and financial benefits that day. All highly illegal, violating many policies and procedures. I begged the investigator, the supervisor, and the superintendent to follow policy and procedure to reveal the truth. Every attempt for advocacy was neglected and ignored. This led to a horrible life spiral that transcended out of control. I was the sole provider for a family of 4, as I had been for years. We lost absolutely everything. This was 3 months after a house fire with no insurance, 2 months after my mother had taken her life, and I was in the middle of a divorce, which eventually cost me custody of my children due to the lack of resources in my ex-wife's small-town connections. All of which could have been prevented if the people I had to ask follow policy and procedure would have. As a Marine veteran that took pride in his job working for the government and was a strong advocate for human rights in the facility that neglected them, this took a toll on my beliefs. I was eventually awarded my career back and happy to finally find closure, but then began being targeted. I have a recording of a state supervisor calling to tell me that the main state supervisor that had originally terminated me was planning on doing it again, along with many other unprofessional state violations by state supervisors. I then targeted my peers, fearing that I was targeted by my peers, fearing that I was a whistleblower, as I was a very strong advocate for the disabled individuals in care, and they would not be mistreated on my watch. My peers had feared the timing in which I had came back and suspected that the state had put me back in place to whistleblow, as I was told. Considering 2 weeks prior to my return, 12 employees had been fired for abuse. The hostility and judgment in work along with knowing the supervisors that were targeting me led to a deep depression. I then was terminated while on FMLA leave for depression under PTSD leave, which I assure you that the PTSD was not necessarily from being a Marine veteran, but from the experiences I had survived after being originally terminated. Excuse me. This case has grown out of control between Glenwood, Iowa Police Department and Glenwood Resource Center employees fearing me speaking out. I cannot begin to explain the emotional distress that has developed due to this case. I simply sought the restoration of my family and their quality of life, but have been dehumanized in the course thereof. It has led to malicious persecution, community shaming, harassment, intimidation, perversion of justice, and have not known privacy. I have not known privacy in years. I will not go into detail now, as there is too much to address in a letter, but I assure you this is a matter that requires your attention. And I am simply in pursuit of feeling American again, retaining constitutional rights, quality of life, and the love of my God-given children. Anything that you could do to address this matter would be greatly appreciated. I understand you are the governor of the state of Iowa, and for the sake of face, you would like nothing more than for my situation to go by the wayside. But my children and I are in dire need of closure and are not worth less than any other American family. The reduction of quality of life for my children is beyond belief. They have lost everything and been through emotional distress due to this matter that would make any parent's stomach turn. For these reasons alone, there must be something done. I thank you for any and all concerned. Respectfully, Rudy J. Camarillo. Now, you would think as a caring governor of Iowa, you would care about an Iowan family, an Iowa veteran, his children being in a neglectful, abusive situation. I have a zero response to this from this lady. She actually has totally neglected it and enabled it to go on and on. And actually, I cared so much for my job. You see this tattoo right here? My mother that worked at the same state facility, when I was putting in cares for people and protecting the people from abuse and neglect, she got me this because she said it was you. The protector, the guardian angel over the tormented soul. You see that guy on his knees right there? That job meant a lot to me. I was in a position where I was 100% looking out and standing up against the neglect and abuse of my children, the disabled, many individuals, and they took me straight out of that, and they kept me out of that, and in fact targeted me from doing that again. The state of Iowa has some real ethical and moral evaluations to be conducted before they should be caring for human beings, and that is 100% certain. And after seeing them violate my rights, abuse me and my children's rights, way of life, mistreat us, and then silence us and throw us by the wayside, that is exactly what I stood up against while at the facility, and they did it to my family. So it is beyond personal, and I don't know how I'm going to get back the meat and potato years of raising my children. It can't go unjust. I want restoration, and I want it relocated. I mean, give me restoration, I'll relocate my family. I got a lot of people to care for. Everybody that was around me was being taken care of by me. You took away that means. Not to mention my sense of family, both immediate and the people I cared for. I loved them all. I operated on heart, and they shredded my heart and tore it apart. And then they did what they could to cover it up. But momentum's a cruel bitch that turns on a dime. You can't fight the truth. Not even with smear campaigns. God bless.